Hi there, welcome to Spiritual Practice Chats. I have started having some conversations with some of my friends and peers about their daily practice, and maybe it's not daily or whatever their spiritual practice is. And just what devotion means to them, like what their practice looks like. Is it morning, evening, afternoon? Just what has worked for them over time. And so today I am very happy to be chatting with my friend Madeline Giles. Hey, Madeline.
Hi. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah. So, when I was deciding to do these chats about devotional practice, I just had to call you because you're the only person that I know who travels with a giant Mother Mary in your
Right next to me
suitcase.
right now. She goes everywhere with me. I've had to
I got mine after
many
you got
things to
yours.
TSA.
What was that?
I said I've had to explain many things to TSA because they're like, we found this thing, they unwrap it, and it's like my Mother Mary statue. I'm like, I love the Divine Mother.
Me too. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I must say with you, Madeline, I feel like our paths have been like woven together in many ways. And one of the, I know we share many kind of threads together from like, being obsessed with nature and like literally we could cry talking about it to just being obsessed with Mother Mary and all of that. And out of pretty much anyone I know, I don't know anyone who like is just loves prayer and the Great Mother and the earth as much as you. So yeah. So my first question is like, do you have a set daily practice at the moment, or does it change each day?
At the moment, I do have a set daily practice, and it changes every day. I mean, I have things that I do every day, but depending on what's needed in that day, I will kind of curate day to day what spiritually nourishes me. And by spiritual nourishment, I think for me, spirituality is synonymous with, like, for me, being human is a spiritual practice. And so just being here and engaging with life day to day, I attune to if I'm feeling a little more anxious or if I'm feeling more open and like I'm able to connect with all of life. It's like my practices kind of emerge really from that initial attunement. But I pray the rosary every day, and I have a daily prayer practice that looks different, but it's mostly just, for me, it's about connecting with God or with the divine, with source, with nature. I mean, so many words to describe that presence. That, for me, again and again and again, no matter what outer form my practice might take, it's the only thing that ever has made sense to me is that presence of connection, feeling the presence of the unconditional care of spirit, and by spirit, I also mean, especially now, like, spirit to me is synonymous with presence with nature and the way nature just embodies and our true nature as well. It's like, I know you speak and write about this so much as well, of just we are nature, and that attunement to that presence inside is at the heart of any practice that I engage with.
Love it. Yeah, I think that one of the things that I've noticed over the years is like the relationship to like discipline with devotion. And like I look back at different phases, and I'm so grateful for the commitment to discipline. I mean, I've always been quite bite-sized with my discipline, so it's probably sustained me in a way. Like I didn't overdo it. When I showed up consistently, I didn't overdo it. But the other thing I've noticed is, so there was, I would show up to a daily meditation practice, this one practice for, I think it was about 5 years. And then I look back and I can see I was just being called to the earth, but I didn't understand it at the time. And I kind of struggled to go, but this is my practice. And then to be like, and then what came out of it was so much richer and so much more nourishing. And I think like we speak about this a little bit, like the compartmentalization of like, I'm going to be spiritual, I'm going to be human, and then I'm going to go get grounded. And
Yes.
like just that disconnection between like seeing the sacred everywhere, like in the rose, in Mother Mary, in the sky, in everything. What's been your journey with that?
So yeah, I mean, I've had the word discipline. I mean, hearing that, like there is a part of my body that goes like kind of starts to tighten up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I love the actual definition of discipline means loving follower. It's like to be a loving follower. And for me, I am a follower of what to me, I could just say is the heart. I don't necessarily mean the physical organ, the heart, but just the presence, basically the presence of love, of like that's really the heart of my discipline in a way. And in terms of the practices, like I went through probably 3 years of a very intensive, like waking up at 4 a.m. and really engaging in hours of meditation. And, you know, that's for some people, maybe that's their whole life's calling to engage in that type of discipline. And for me, similarly, there reached a point where I felt like that was actually like it wasn't quite right for me. It's almost like at different times of life, different nutrition is needed just to based on different elements in life. And it was almost like a season of that completed. And it was actually synchronized with my, when I started herbalism school and apprenticing and really connecting deeply with the plants and with the nature spirits of the plant, like it's the heart of the plant spirit in a way, which we could call like the angels of nature, or just nettle has a very different energy than like lavender. Lavender has a different energy than dandelion, even if they're all nourishment of the earth, there's a very specific energy with it. And as I started to really experience earth pace, which is this, I mean, there's so much poetry written about like nature never hurries and yet everything gets completed. You know, I started even like divine timing to me, I no longer relate to as divine timing. I think of it as like a divine ripening or even a divine like composting of just like something that needs to die and alchemize with the earth. Being able to experience the nourishment that reached to like every cell of my body, like, whereas my spiritual practice before, I felt more like I was ungrounded in the sense of I was like living from my heart up, essentially. Like I didn't feel my like hips and my feet and my legs and like the connection to the earth, whereas really orienting more towards not just like you're saying, compartmentalizing, like, and now I'm connecting with the earth. It's like, it was an embodied experience that really had a profound effect on me and even change my kind of inner orientation from like ascension to like, actually, I'm here to descend. Like I'm here to like go down and in and be here.
And I'm curious, like hearing you speak and through lots of contemplation I've been doing myself as well, like what is that? Because if I reflect back on, and only we know our own process rather than the world's process, but with the awakening process, obviously it like never ever ends, right? It's like there's no end to get to or whatever. From your experience with the going up and then going down, and then maybe there's somewhere in between where actually they're the same thing. Like, do you think that there is like times where you go up and times when you go down, and then it's about integrating the two? Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you presence that. Just, I mean, to me, and even I'm studying, like I'm in this bee apprenticeship right now where I'm beekeeping and learning more about this ancient tradition called the path of pollen. And it's like the heart of the tradition is the lemniscate or the infinity symbol. And I feel like just to present, and even in my own process and some of the things I've shared about, I think of it, it's like different ways of saying it, like roots, heart, and halo is one way, or animal, creature, the heart, or like our human experience, and the angel or the higher nature. And I feel like my path started much more up in the angel, and not to say that's not present now, but it was like, if even thinking of it as that infinity, that symbol of just going up and being like, oh, I'm able to see things from this higher perspective. I'm able to attune to like really grow my intuitive capacities. And then the descension element, it's like kind of spiraling down into more of the roots or the animal body, which is very connected to like somatic trauma resolution, because we store painful experiences or kind of looping experiences at the level of the body and in instinct. And so not to say that the earth is separate, or the creature animal is separate from this halo angelic vision. I feel like the descension it's not necessarily separate from going up. It's almost like this spiral that then contributes to the experience of wholeness in the heart, in humanity, in acknowledging the messiness. Like, to me, the definition of being human is being messy.
Totally.
I mean,
Yeah, like the extremes. I think like giving birth taught me that more than anything. I knew it conceptually, but like doing it, like being like having transcendent and immanent at the same time, like agony, ecstasy at the same time. It was just like, oh my God, like that for me so far it's been like the human experience. And like when I love that you mentioned like somatic practices and trauma, and like, as you know, this is something I've been exploring personally. And yeah, I wonder, for those of us who feel, say, called to the Divine Mother in particular, like to fall into her arms, and those of us, who have kind of reached for that unconditional holding of the sacred, of the divine. And then what I've learned about, one of the many things I've learned about trauma is that often it comes up to be healed when there's space and safety to do so. And so it's like, I'm wondering, I'm in a constant inquiry about like what role spiritual practice has in that. And, at times, like, we can't fully go there because we're not able to hold it, or we're not held enough to go through it.
Yes. Well, and I mean, what I have experienced and learned with this, and again, there's nuance, there's depth, there's meeting each person in their own process with this. And one thing that has been tremendously supportive for me, especially because I started out more in the like really just fully orienting myself more upwards and out, which may not be the case for everyone, but just in what I've learned with trauma resolution is resourcing is the foundational resourcing, which could be attuning to layers of support that meet us in the momentum of challenge. And there's a difference between spiritual resourcing and spiritual bypassing. Like bypassing is using spirituality to check out, whereas resourcing can be like for example, if I'm experiencing, let's say, like anxiety, what I might do is attune inside, or if I'm experiencing like fear or just something, my attuning to like the Divine Mother, or attuning to, you know, one of my favorite trees, like just different things that can sound, it can be tangible or it can be that inner relationship. If I invite like the Great Mother, Mother Mary, to relate with my fears or my anxieties, like how does that show up? And sometimes like there's a very physical, visceral sense that I get. Other times there's maybe some movement that I want to make. It's inviting spirit, the divine, the Great Mother to meet me in those tender, difficult places. And of course, if it's too much to even look at, then it can be incredibly supportive and healthy to kind of soothe and distract and be like, okay, my physiology isn't ready to go there yet, but that doesn't mean, like, just as, you know, we prepare ourselves for different experiences, like resourcing can grow that inner capacity to meet bigger momentums. If that makes sense.
That makes complete sense to me. And what's your favorite way of resourcing? Do you have a particular practice? Like, is it the rosary and the prayer, or is it just sitting with a tree?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like,
well, I mean,
so I would say the rosary always just reaches me, because I feel like it's like my calling card to the Divine Mother, also because I'm like holding it, and in my practice I'll like pray the whole
it's so
circle.
physical. It's
like holding her hand.
And do you know what? Yes, exactly. And what I noticed as well, because I did rosary when I had Sunny, and he would do it with my necklace. And so it was like, oh my God. He was like holding on to me and I was holding on to her. And I'm like, oh God.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So,
yeah. That's
because
so
babies do that. They're like, and yeah, wow. Sorry,
yes.
I interrupted.
No, I mean, that's like, for me, I'm like, I can hold your hand, and it's like, I kind of go through praying the whole like circle of it. And then when I reach the center, my practice is holding on to the thread. And then I will speak like my prayer around what's present, like speak to her as if she's right here with me, and be like, pray for what's little things, big things, world things, family things. Like it just, I always feel better after. It's almost like I genuinely think of it as like my calling card to the Divine Mother. And that never fails me. I will say, just being in nature, like I sit in the trees or walk, or just even like receive the sun. And that also, it sounds simple, but it can just have a real profound effect on how nervous system, like regulated and centered I feel. And that, of course, affects my capacity to be able to engage with life.
And because you're a projector as well, aren't you?
Yes.
I read something the other day that nature is really good to reattune our nervous system. Yeah.
Yes, from taking in the whole world. It's, I mean, I don't want to.
Just being like, oh, that's right. That's my blueprint. That's my blueprint.
Yes,
So beautiful.
to clear. Yeah, I'm also a big take lots of like Epsom salt baths. Always helps.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Madeline. It's been such a beautiful conversation.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Madeline Giles, for being here. I'll include a link to Madeline's website and Instagram and all of that below. And if you would like to join me for exploring different types of spiritual practice, obviously there's, as we've explored in that conversation, there's so many different types, and it's so personal which ones are most nourishing and resourcing for us. But I'm doing a new program which is free called Discover Your Spiritual Practice, and we'll be exploring 7 different types of practices, so you can see if any of them speak to you. And that begins very soon. So if you'd like to be part of that, head to rebeccacampbell.me/practice.